Hey everybody, it's Monique.
And it's Paige. We're back.
We're back with Sacred Potential, where we talk about the overlap of faith, creativity, and possibility. And today it's been a while since we've done a podcast, so we just wanted to send out one. As you can see, we just wanted to talk a bit about vision and how crucial it is to have vision, especially in these times we're in.
We actually did topics like this
A couple years ago.
Yeah, some time ago.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like my sister had come upon one of it's like your dream is bigger than you. And my sister just kind of out of nowhere randomly reached out to me one day. She was like, "Hey, I listened to this episode of the podcast. This is really good." And I find that because everybody, whether they practice vision or have, because everybody has vision.
I don't know that everybody does.
Everybody could have vision.
They have the potential. They have the sacred potential.
Everybody has the sacred potential to have vision. It's just taking the time to seek it and to close your eyes and close out all of the nonsense and yeah. Sorry, go Mo. Go.
No, I'm listening.
No, I was going through some of my my apartment the other day. That's a flat for those of you Europeans listening, and I came across what I think I called it my prayer book, my prayer/answer book, and I was just going through it, and I was just like, it's like my answered prayers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at God. And it was interesting because what it did, it just reminded me of like, ooh, I can ask for bigger things. I can there's more. Because what God has done, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. I think I maybe told that story once about the snow.
Yes. I don't know if you've told it on here.
I don't know. I'll just quickly say that snow now, when I see snow, it makes me think of hope because I had a fashion shoot, video shoot that I wanted. It was like sometime in April, I think. And I really wanted...
This was a few years back, some years ago.
Yeah, some years ago. And I really wanted there to be snowfall during a specific scene, but there was like absolutely no snow in the forecast, and it was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, I just had to kind of like go with another vision. There's that word again. And it was just interesting because the morning of the shoot, I got a text message from one of my editors and videographers, and he said, "Did you look outside?" I immediately kind of go and look out the window, and there were remnants of fallen snow from the night before. And I'm like, Jesus, what are you doing? So, and then it was interesting because then I, later on, I went to go meet my friend who was assisting me on the shoot. And as I'm heading to meet her, literally snow in huge flakes are falling from the sky. And she said, as I was approaching, she was like, "You see how God be answering your prayer?" And the funny thing is, I think that the thing that was most amazing ultimately regarding the story is that I had that vision, but it didn't look like it was going to be possible. And so I just kind of like, okay, well, I'll just go with this idea instead. But the Lord's like, no, you had that vision. Let's do it. So ultimately, I'm just like, every time I think about that story and every time I see snow, I just always am like, Lord, look at you.
And I love that thing when there's something that maybe you don't even remember if you actually prayed it,
yes,
or you just thought it and
yes,
you were just like, well, that would be nice,
yes,
and then at some point down the road, this thing happens, and it's just God. Like it's like, did I even utter that out of my mouth, or was it just something I saw in my mind that God then brought to pass? And I think obviously Frank being free is a great example of vision because, in scripture, think about how many times people had a vision, clearly a vision. They were praying and God gave them a vision. Like I've been back in the book of Acts lately, and just seeing and reading about how many times it says, and then so and so saw this in a vision, and how God would then confirm the vision through someone else, and it would just keep getting confirmed, and I just keep obviously I'm still in awe 7.5 months later that Frank is walking in and out of my apartment a lot, and but just that it started with the vision that he is going to be free. Yeah. Well, that started way in the beginning when he was first arrested. Yeah. He's going to be free. Yeah. And then just the utterance of it, to speak it like there's, I just have to share this. Oh, I don't think I've ever shared this. Oh, I've definitely never shared this on here. This part of Frank's story, being free. Okay. So before he was free, there was a point where I was staying at my mom's. And in the mornings, I would be doing yoga in her living room. And so at the end of my yoga, I just do yoga to get my body stretched out in the mornings. And at the end of my yoga, I would be sitting on the the front part of the mat. Yeah. And that's where I would just start part of my quiet time. Yeah. That's kind of like where I would just start praying things, and then later I'd go have my other quiet time. But anyway, so it was just like kind of to round up my end of my yoga. And I would always be thanking God for just all the gratitude to God for all the blessings. And the main thing I would always start with would be, thank you, Lord, that Frank is home, safe, alive, and well, and that he is right here. And I would literally say, right here, he's right here. He's in this room. He's here, like saying it and speaking it as if it's already real. Yeah. And the most crazy part is, so now Frank's free, obviously, everybody knows this. And the miracle has happened, and Frank's free. And there was a day, like a few months after he was first here, and so they've kind of arranged the situation, because he's staying at my mom's right now, and they've arranged the situation where he's got a little desk, and he's got it in a certain place in that room. And one day I was sitting there, and it just hit me. I was like, this is amazing, because you are literally sitting in the exact spot where I used to be sitting when I was on the yoga mat. That was where that spot was, and now that's exactly the spot where he's to the spot. God is so literal. Anyway, yeah, and so I just love how God, whether it's something small that we've hoped for. Yeah. I'm not saying this is for every single thing, but I believe there are things God gives us vision for. Sure. And those things are the reason we have the vision, is because they are meant to come to pass. They're the preview of the future. And yeah.
I was just thinking, because my sister sent me an audio message. It was from this woman, and the audio message was 2 minutes, if not a little less. And one of the main things that she said in the message was expect a miracle every day. And then I just started thinking, just now as you're talking, could you imagine if we were given a job, an assignment, you're looking at the job ads, right? And one of the ads was something I don't know, miracle finder or something, whatever. And then you apply for it, and then you're hired, and literally it was your job to every day look for a miracle. That is literally, so it's whether it's kind of I don't know if it's something you have asthma, right? And you notice that one day it's you were able to take deep breaths in a way where you never have before. That's a miracle. Little things, just things they're not even little. But
exactly.
Just to even note these things, have your own vision book to make notes.
Write everything down. Right. Because one day when you're maybe going through a rough time and you start flipping through your notebook and you're reminded of all the things God's done, and then whatever you're dealing with in that moment, then you can look back and be reminded, oh, there's a miracle at the door.
And there's a miracle at the door. Should I answer it?
Yes.
Hold on, folks.
It's funny that you were just saying, look for a miracle, and then Frank rings the doorbell.
Hello. You said you wanted to continue with that.
Oh yeah, well, we're just gonna say that with miracles, really everything is a miracle. The fact that we're breathing, the fact that I think there's just so many things we take for granted, even with our health or things that we have, things that if you think about, many people don't have even remotely some things that we have, many things that we have. we were talking about how there's certain things that are miracles that we may be praying for right now or believing are going to come to pass, right?
Yeah.
And then there's things that just think about, just look around you right now. If you're listening to this, just look around wherever you're sitting and think about how many of the things that we use, that we are sitting on, involved somebody having a vision for that thing to come to pass, and that vision at one point seemed impossible. I mean, anything from a cell phone to a computer to even thinking about the factories that make things, like the fact that somebody had a vision to even know how to design and then create, and then people that knew how to build it. Just, it's like there's just miracles just everywhere. Which I feel like the more aware you are of the miracles all around you, the more you can see how more miracles can come to pass.
And it's also interesting because those very things, like, the cell phone, the computer, or, even a book, like everything. And it's just interesting because once upon a time, that person had to imagine this thing. They had this vision, and it's kind of like, wait, what's that? There was not even a name for it necessarily yet. And then it's like being careful about maybe even who you share these visions with, because, you're going to be met with, especially if could you imagine you've never heard of a smartphone? That was never a thing. And then now you just have this vision of like communicating with people in an easier way and whatever, and creating apps and all that stuff. So that's like you're speaking a foreign language. So you're presenting this idea to someone who has completely is closed off about, like, and it's like, what are you talking about? What? And it's
or
like,
that might say, that's not possible.
That's not possible. And it's just like, if you can think it, what is it?
If you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you can dream it, you can become it. I used to have it on my wall.
If you can believe it, how's it go?
I had it on my wall as a kid.
If you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. That was it.
Oh, and I used to have a thing on my wall that said, if you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you can dream it, you can become it.
I remember my mom would always kind of say to me, it was just routine. After a while, I would leave the house every day or whatever, or just every day she would either call me, or when I used to live back home, she would be like, watch and pray, watch and pray, watch and pray. That was always what she would say. And then one day I just said, Ma, pray and watch. And then she was like,
I think they go both ways.
Yeah, of course. But it was like, she was saying it from a position of like almost fear, because she watched the news religiously. She watched the news religiously. So it was just kind of, it got to a point of like, just worrying and things like that. So she would always give me that message. And so, yeah.
No, I'm glad that you mentioned that about the news, because about how disheartening and for many people very fear-invoking it can be, why it's so important to take your attention and your focus back and put it before God, and just not allow you can be concerned, you can be praying about things going on, but to not allow your vision to be dictated to by others, and to make sure that your vision and what you see is coming from God and not from other sources. And God may confirm that your vision through multiple things, but generally God's not going to be speaking through fear or through hatred or through anything that makes you feel afraid, because God is love, and love and fear don't coexist. So
come on.
So speaking of
fear.
Speaking of, so as you may have heard earlier, the doorbell rang, and let us just point out that a year ago, 9 months ago, the possibility of that doorbell ringing and it being Frank was would be a miracle, and is now just part of everyday existence.
Exactly. Once it was a vision.
It was a vision, and it was in this very space where we would pray, and we would pray for these miracles, which now we're praying for new miracles, and there's many other amazing things in the works. And every time Frank walks through that door, it's just a reminder of all that's possible. Yeah,
Once
with
it was
God.
a vision, and now it's real.
That's
Come on.
right. Ooh.